What's up guys, Chen here. Welcome to another episode of Hoonigan Autofocus. Today we have a very special Subaru. And the thing is, this is pretty much Lewis's dream car and his favorite car without a doubt ever, because this is the greatest Subaru. This is an actual 22B. And the crazy thing is, it's actually in California. It's amazing. It's wide, it's beautiful, it's blue. Just no words. It's so good. It's so good, isn't it?
Bottom, hands down, so amazing.
All right, so we got Franz here, who your job is actually to find these rare and beautiful Japanese cars and bring them to the US for your customer.
Absolutely, absolutely. Throughout Japan, I travel. I'm on the ground floor. Boots on ground is what I always say. Sourcing the cars is not always an easy task because we're always trying to find the barn finds, if you will. And this is actually one of those barn finds, and we're really fortunate to actually come across it. But yes, it's a source, procure, import legally, and deliver them for sale for our U.S. customers.
Okay, so this is rare as it is in Japan because they only made 400 of these.
Correct, yeah.
But for it to be in the US, oh my God. I mean, first of all, I think this is the second one I've ever seen. First one I saw was actually in Japan at Subaru's showroom.
Oh, right, yeah,
right?
Yes.
This is the second one I've seen, and this one actually, it has some miles on it. It's been used, but it's still in amazing condition.
Yes. It's got 68,000 kilometers. The original, it's one owner car. He used it kind of a daily driver, if you will, but then again in Japan, daily driving is just like what, kilometer back and forth, and then it added up over time. But 68,000 kilometers, hard to find, of course, and hard to ask him to sell it to us. We had to consistently tell him, hey, we want to buy it, and finally he's like, okay, you know what, you guys can go ahead and take it. And so here it is. But it did come under a show and display permit. Very hard to get approvals, even though it's been approved on the vehicle eligibility list, but it still at times takes long. Like, I mean, we got this car back in May, and we just.
So can you explain to the viewers a little bit what that is? Because what year is this one?
This is a 1998.
Okay, so this doesn't become federally legal until 2023, correct?
Correct.
So then the reason why it's here and it's 2020 is because you brought it in
under show and display.
So tell us a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so show and display is actually is a permit that's created for specialty cars that have a limited production number of under 500 or less. And with that, it actually is exempted for special shows like SEMA, if you will, or special rally events for this car to be displayed at. And the government really takes note of that because they actually want to see that this car is driven 2,500 miles under, plus it actually gets to be displayed at very special venues. And so we do have to send them reports on an annual basis of where the car is, where it's garaged, and what type of venues it actually shows up, as well as an audit of the miles that it comes under. So it's not the standard 25-year rule that everybody's accustomed to for these cars. This actually comes up under an exemption of the show and display. Now, with that as well, Larry, I forgot to explain one thing, that this car, since it's 98, it actually is exempted from EPA, because EPA has a federal 21-year rule as well as the show and display. So but with those two in conjunction, we're able to bring this in and legally have it in the United States. Now, in California, however, we have something called CARB certification. So it's still, even though it's federally exempted, you can't just walk into a DMV and get it registered.
So to get this registered in California, you would pretty much have to get it
OBD complied.
OBD 2 compliant.
Correct.
I guess you would have to kind of go through the whole gamut of doing the sniffer test and the pressurization test for the fuel system.
Correct.
There's just so many things you have to do. For example, like this, while this looks like my car, it's definitely not my car. This thing is way crazier than my car. This is actually one of your builds.
It is, yes.
So can we just briefly, okay, we'll touch on this thing.
Yeah.
This is like the feature of this video, but I just wanted to go over this super quick because of course you guys know I'm a big Skyline R32 guy, and I have one in the same color, but this one is so crazy, just so insane.
So it's got a 3-pump fuel system as well in the back. It's running only on 100 octane. It's tuned and built by Yokohama, Auto Gallery Yokohama. We started the build in 2017, T51R ball bearing. It's got an R34 N1 block. It's everything on this car is basically an N1 except for the fact that it doesn't have a 24U stamped on the actual engine block. This is an R34 motor with a 6-speed get-right transmission. Everything we bought on this car was brand new. The price tag, I mean, just on the 3 alone, the block, the get-right transmission, as well as the T51R, we spent about $30,000 just in those 3 parts alone. Let alone it's a 2.8 liter, of course inline 6 still, and we increased the oil pump to the N1 pump to give it a better cooling, just because since it's an inline 6, it usually has oiling issues towards the back of the crank, as well as the option that we were going to do later is to do an electric fan, so it actually has better cooling. But this is built specifically for time attack.
But it looks like a stock car from the outside. I mean, I looked at the tires,
Yeah.
295 squared, some serious AP Racing brakes.
A Kia control arms, as well as Olin suspension. It's just super dialed in. I mean, there's even a track timer for that AGY installed in here, so that when the car was actually tested, it was not only dyno tested, it actually was tested on Fuji Speedway as well, so to actually give it the track feel and setup that they actually are known for. So this thing is like hardcore dialed in.
So they did have a chance to put this on an all-wheel drive dyno then. What did it
yes.
make?
This made 650.
650.
650 PS is what they say.
It's just casual, 650. But I mean, I like the interior too. You deleted the stock door cards.
To make it lighter?
Yeah, they're carbon, and then it's kind of like a half cage in here, huh?
Correct.
Oh yeah, the back too. It's kind of like a half cage.
And it's fully gutted in the back as well. Custom built roll cage as well, and the way they even cut the dashboards, we wanted to make sure it wasn't damaged and you know, if you will, ghetto rigged.
It smells like Japan in here.
It's because of
squash.
this. Yeah. We stocked up on these suckers from Autobox.
Yeah. This thing is just so cool. It really is like my car to the extreme.
And just the way they even did this, Larry, look at how the pipe, the wiring and everything, it's just done so nicely.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. Very cool. All right, on to the 22B. Okay, tell us a little bit about this car. Okay, I skipped the inside. So tell us, why is it that you have 4 RX-7s here? We have more
RX-7s, just because our customers, we actually sell cars as well. We're a retail dealer in Orange, California, but at the end of the day, so our customers actually like to have these type of cars because the 25 years are up, so they're wanting to buy these. So we actually cater to the base public that wants, like, you know, normal cars, and sometimes we'll get like a little bit more rare, like this is a Bathurst, this is a Type RS, and that's a Type R. So we do sell cars aside from sourcing like very rare, hard to find cars, and that's kind of how we, you know, enjoy staying in the business.
Okay, so you go to Japan pretty often.
Yes.
Because your clients basically go to you and they're like, hey, I want, for example, like if somebody wanted like a R33 400R or something like that.
Like a 400R or a Le Mans edition, 1986
Yeah, you would
R33.
actually go through your contacts in Japan, reach out to these owners that potentially have these cars already, and then you would offer them money. I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like, so Japanese are very fickle people, and you got to respect their privacy as well as their space. So sometimes when you go to like the outskirts, like Tottori or Fukuoka or even Hokkaido, when you go outside of the Tokyo prefecture area, you tend to get a little bit more of the rural class people. So they actually are more, they care for their cars so much that they have pride in that. They don't want those cars to be exported out of the country. So a lot of the times when we try to approach customers, they're like, oh, dame, dekinai yo.
Wait, so you actually speak Japanese too then?
Chotto dekiru yo.
Okay, all right, just enough.
Just enough, yeah. But the fact of the matter is that they don't want to sell. So you have to really, you know, kind of sit down with them, explain to them that, hey, you know what, even though this is going to be exported out of the country, it is actually going to a guy that really loves and cares for the car. It's going to go to a good home. And knowing our past and knowing where I come from, they actually do open up the doors to actually selling these cars to us. But most of the time they're very, well, no, I wouldn't say most. Some of the times they're very aversive to Gaikokujins. They actually call us Gaijins, which is kind of a derogatory term for foreigner. As soon as they see the dark skin or a different type of skin tone, they actually don't want to sell. They're like, they freeze up and they're like, no, we don't want to sell. But that's why we, you know, when we're on the boots on ground, we get to talk to them, we get to massage the conversation to allow them to allow us to buy the cars. And that's how I did this one too, and some of the cars that you see in here, especially the car behind you.
I mean, essentially this thing is like Japanese motoring history right
absolutely,
here. You know?
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean,
this is the best of Subaru, and which, by the way, don't feel so bad, because when I go to Japan, you know, everyone, they think I'm Japanese, and they
you
start.
do look Japanese,
well, look,
yeah.
like they start speaking Japanese to me, and as soon as, well, yeah, as soon as I open my mouth, they're like, "Oh, this guy's a gaijin for sure."
For
you know?
sure.
But yes, back to this thing. It's in such good condition. I mean, so how much is it something like this worth?
A similar type of car, like an STI and the 22B, with, let's say, about 300 miles, is roughly running right now in the market about 370,000. So those are delivery miles.
Wait, what? 370,000.
370,000.
Not yen.
No. Not
dollars.
30, not 39 or 40 million yen. We're talking about $370,000.
And it's for sale right now.
It's for sale right now, yes. There's one right now for sale. And
so whoever took delivery of this thing is one lucky customer.
Absolutely.
And one wealthy individual who knows exactly what kind of car he or she likes.
And the beautiful thing is we're actually blessed to have repeat buyers come buy from us. The guy that bought this is an Air Force test pilot. And he bought an Nismo R32 GTR from us, and again came back and said, Franz, you know what, can you find me, you know, a rare car? And he asked me, and within about a day and a half, we found this for him. And I said, look, I can go and find this. I can talk to the owner. I can see if he can sell it to me. And he's like, if you can make it happen, I'll buy it from you.
Let's check out the interior here. It says, "Okay, Subaru." Oh, this is where it sings. Like, this is the everything right about this car. It's so good. It's a time capsule. And on top of that, you didn't even take out the ETC card.
No,
right
yeah, and
here.
it actually talks too.
Yeah, it says ETC card something, right?
Yeah.
Because it's saying it doesn't have an ETC card. Oh, it says it's missing the card, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Oh, and I love that it still has a Japanese road flare. I went out of my way to buy one on eBay and just to put it in my R32.
And see, that's the thing, Larry. With these cars, like, we try to find the cars that have everything to the original setup. I try to avoid, especially when I try to buy rare cars. I want to make sure that they have like the tools, like the road flare, the stock airbox, to the stock suspension, and the wheels, even the wheel caps. Everything just has to make sense for my customers, because they are, at the end of the day, collectors of these pieces.
Well, because potentially, yeah, there's some wear and tear, because as you said, this was a daily driver. I mean, you could see the shift boot is a little worn, the steering wheel is a little worn, but it's like, that's the original piece.
There's a story, yeah, there's a story behind it.
That's the story, but also, potentially, if this owner restores this to perfect, you know, Concord condition, you know, like replacing putting the original radio and changing all these little bits, it could go up there in price. I mean, it could hit 300, who knows, however many thousands of dollars, but I guess it doesn't really matter at that point, because it's something that they bought for themselves.
Correct, yeah. He's the type of guy that really likes to enjoy his cars. He likes to collect them, but at the same time, he doesn't want it to be a garage queen, as he says. He's like, you know what, we only live once, just enjoy the hell out of it.
There's just so many little details about this vehicle that I absolutely love. I've never actually seen one up like this on the street. Oh, let's check out the engine bay. The brakes, the discs are pretty cool. So again, as you mentioned, this is how it was from Japan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, did it even have Japanese fuel and everything?
It did, yeah. It did a little bit, because when it gets on, we actually delivered this not row. This came inside a container. So it's special cars, we don't like to have it exposed to the elements. So we did do a 20-foot container and locked it up, locked and braced it. Everything is done in-house. And yes, it has to have very minimal gas so we can come in and out of the car, container.
But there's just everything, like original Panasonic battery, I'm assuming. All of this stuff, all these STI parts.
Absolutely, yes.
From the factory, Fuji Heavy Industries. You see it right there, Fuji Heavy Industries. Everything on here. I mean, yeah, it's people forget this is, you know, coming on 25 years almost.
Correct, yeah.
And it's just been sitting out in the elements. It's been used. And yeah, this motor could probably get refreshed. But honestly, I love the fact that it has a stock airbox. Most of it is stock. There's a couple little things I'm sure that, you know, were changed over the years.
Yeah, exactly. But aside from that, the car runs very healthy. It is. I've never driven one of these in my life. I've always driven Skylines and now RX-7s and 240 SXs and whatnot. But when I got myself into this, I kid you not, I called my brother. I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing. This thing just, it handles very similar to a go-kart. The thing just moves. I mean, you turn it, it actually tells you exactly, like, you control the car. And that's what I love about it. There's a driver feed response that's just amazing. I mean, out of the world. I mean, the handling on this.
Okay, all right.
You want to drive it?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't have to ask. I didn't ask. You guys saw. I didn't even ask. Yeah, I love it. There's just certain things about it. I mean, I look at Lewis's, right? And whilst his looks great, he has a 95 and he swapped a STI motor into it. But like this just has these, there's nothing subtle about it. It's just so much more bulbous. It's so wide, and there's just so many of these little elements that just make it that special. And the fact that it has a stock BBS wheels, like how cool is that?
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's what we were looking for too. We actually wanted to make sure that even the wheels actually had the original wheels that came with the car, as well as the caps and even the lug nuts. To just everything with the car had to be complete for the owner, and we were fortunate to be able to get this for him.
Okay, so now the title of the video is Larry drives a 22B and his head explodes because he loves it so much. Oh, cool. Amazing.
And look, dude, this is the really cool part about this.
Yeah. The center diff. Okay,
yeah.
so I did have a chance to drive my good friend Bucky Lasik. He kind of built like a 22B inspired car.
Wow. Okay.
And you know, it's of course it's its own flair and it's completely modified, but the fact that it's inspired from a car that was actually a built thing from the factory, it just blows my mind.
Right?
It's so crazy. I love it. Everything, the pedals. It even still has a cigarette.
It does, yeah.
Lighter. Just
folded mirrors.
Foldable mirrors, as you do for a Japanese car.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I love all of this. This is all original. It's the little details, really. It makes me really appreciate. Could you imagine back in 1998 driving this on the street?
Dude,
like, how much of a boss would you be to drive this on the street?
It would be amazing. It would have, yeah. You would have been the new kid on the block, the cool kid on the block.
Cool kid on the block.
No, it's just an amazing car. I mean, I've never experienced anything like this. When I got into this, I'll be very honest. I wasn't really a fan of Subaru. I never was. And until I got into this.
Yeah.
Now I really appreciate this car for what it is and for what Subaru's technology is all about.
All right, let's do this.
How does it feel?
It feels like a normal Subaru.
Really?
And honestly, that's how it should feel. So lucky for me, Lewis lets me drive his Subarus. He actually bought a Legacy STI. It kind of reminds me of my R32, honestly.
Really?
A little bit, yeah.
I just feel, it's
It feels a lot lighter, though. Wow.
Yeah, see? I'm telling you.
It's so quiet, actually.
Well, it is, yeah. And it picks up and it just...
I'm surprised.
I like it.
Oh, wow.
I like it, man. I like it.
I can't believe it. It's so nice. Left?
Yes, left. From a 4-cylinder, too.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. You can get in trouble quick with this thing.
And look, you're already doing like 100. Almost 100, yeah.
100 kilometers.
100 kilometers, exactly.
It's actually pretty soft.
nimble. Yeah. Exactly.
It's not harsh at all, and I guess this is what you should expect from a stock car.
Right, exactly.
Okay, that was insane. Whew. So we ended up shooting both cars. I feel like this is kind of like the dynamic duo. It's funny because it's like, that's my car, that's Lewis's car, but both are extreme, absolute extreme versions of our cars. And it was kind of, the thing is, on Hoonigan Autofocus, you know, we feature so many different types of cars. We feature modified cars, we feature stock cars, old cars, future cars, pretty much anything. This is kind of one of those shoots that I've always dreamed about as a kid, you know, watching Best Motoring. I could just imagine, you know, this could have just been an episode of that. Really, I mean, that's the thing, is we watched Best Motoring to learn about Japanese cars, Japanese culture, and, you know, the presenters, Max Arito, Keiichi Tsuchiya, Taniguchi, you know, all of the guys that we really looked up to. I could imagine them hosting a kind of an episode like this. So I definitely had a lot of fun shooting this, even though it's a stock car. And that's kind of the thing that I always bring up about stock cars. I couldn't even imagine back in 1997, 1998, driving this car. I mean, talk about badass, talk about ahead of its time, and just the performance, the sound, the look. It's so aggressive. I actually love the stock wheels. I actually really like the stock fitment, because normally I'm all about having cars that are super flush, but you know what? This is for this is for rally, you know, this is for a clearance, and this is so you can fit really big meats on here. But like, there's no wheel rubbing here. It's just, I don't know, it just kind of has a special charm. It has that 90s JDM charm that I absolutely love so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed us bringing you along on this shoot. I just can't believe how much this car is now. Can you believe this car? Versions of it are selling for well over $300,000. Wow. Just wow.